About 50 or 51, I got a job. Rode the bus to work every day, rode it home every day, cost a nickel each way. Cost a nickel each way. That bus was so full of people that you couldn't even get on. The first bus went right on by. Maybe the second one too, and then when I get on, I had to stand there by the door. It was so full. Everybody rode the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people.
What was your first job?
Working at the thermometer, Ohio Thermometer Company.
What were you doing?
Making ice.
Really?
Had a big old tank. It was about 10 foot long and high as my head. Had these big tanks was about this high and about that thick and about that wide. And this big old tank had salt brine in it. So every day I fill up all those tanks, all the ice that we used out of them. In the morning I'd had a hoist over it. I'd pick one out, I'd squeegee it off. Now be careful don't get no brine on that salt because it makes it colder. Squeegee it off. I'd take it over and turn it upside down. When it got melted enough, the sides were like that, and this chunk of ice would fall out of there.
Wow.
I had a pair of tongs. I'd pick it up with that hoist and I'd put it in some kind of tanker and I'd chip it up into big old chunks. And then these women that was making, at 33 degrees, they had these bulbs with the red or the silver stuff in them.
The mercury?
Mercury, yeah. And they'd set them in this crushed ice. They'd set them in there in little bundles with a rubber band around them. They'd set them in there and they'd just take them out, and where that mercury or that red stuff was, make a little scratch mark. And they put that on this piece of metal. Some of them be that long, and some of them be that long. And they'd put that little scratch mark at 32. And then they had a machine that clamped that little bulb on that piece of metal. And we sent them things to farm stores. They gave them to the customers. They don't give you nothing no more. You think about it. And we made them things about I don't know, but a million and son of a guns. And when I wasn't making ice, which didn't take very long, I'd go over to the escalator. They had an escalator that had slats on it. You could set these big old boxes of these little pieces of metal. They had a blind guy that put the metal in the press, and it punched the little holes to put the little clamp that hold the bulb on there. And they just painted. They didn't want them scratched. Of course, paint then wasn't like it is now. Hell, you could scratch it. So they'd come up the escalator, and I'd take them around to these girls where they were working and putting them together. I'd just take them around to them. Had a cart you hold them all. And they had a little frame in there where they all sat, just so they didn't touch one another and scratch them. Worked 8 hours a day, every day. Never got an hour's overtime, never missed a day while I was there. Must have been there for 8 or 9 months.